U.S. Marshals and Chicago police have a suspect in custody after finding a woman beaten to death inside her Southside home last week.
And WGN's Christine Flores has the latest on the investigation.
Good evening. The beloved mother leaves behind 6 children, the youngest 9 months old. Family members say it has not been an easy journey through their grieving process, but they say they are standing strong for the children.
It was 8:48 in the morning on July 11th, 2024, when a 7-year-old boy walked into his mother's bedroom on Chicago's far south side. What he found would haunt him for the rest of his life. His mother, 30-year-old Shenika Kennard, lay motionless and bloodied, her face so severely beaten that both eyes were swollen shut and her lips were cut from the inside. The little boy's screams echoed through their apartment as the horrifying reality set in. His mommy wasn't sleeping. She was never going to wake up again. What if the person you trust most becomes your worst nightmare? What if the man who promised to love and protect you becomes the one who destroys everything you hold dear? This terrifying reality plays out in homes across America every single day. But few stories illustrate this betrayal as devastatingly as what happened to Shenika Kennard. The man who took her life wasn't a stranger who broke into her home. He wasn't a random criminal or someone she had just met. He was someone she had welcomed into her heart and her family. Shenika Kennard was a devoted mother of 6 children who had spent her entire 30 years dreaming of finding true love and happiness. She was known as a free spirit with a beautiful voice who could light up any room. Someone who always found a way to provide for her kids, no matter how little she had. When she met Jarv Toms Dixon, the father of her youngest child, she believed she had finally found her soulmate. She thought this relationship would be her salvation, her chance at the love story she had always deserved. If this story already has you on edge, you need to stay until the end, because what you're about to hear will change how you view love forever. This isn't just another tragic news story that you'll forget by tomorrow. This is a wake-up call about the deadly warning signs that could save your life or the life of someone you care about. Shenika's story contains lessons that every person in a relationship needs to understand, because love should never come with bruises and trust should never end in terror. To truly understand the magnitude of what was lost on July 11th, you need to know who Shenika Kennard really was beyond the headlines. Her older sister Tanisha described her as a genuine free spirit, someone who refused to dim her light regardless of other people's approval or disapproval. Shenika had this rare ability to be authentically herself in a world that constantly tried to change her. She carried herself with a confidence that came from knowing exactly who she was, even when life threw its hardest punches at her. Shenika had spent all 30 years of her life on the 13,000 block of South Martin Luther King Drive in Chicago's far south side. This wasn't just her address. It was her entire universe. Every corner held a childhood memory. Every neighbor knew her story, and every step she took was on ground that had shaped her into the woman she became. The block where she lived was the same block where she would tragically die, making her story even more heartbreaking for a community that had watched her grow up. Despite being deeply rooted in her neighborhood, Shenika's heart yearned for something beyond the familiar boundaries of Chicago. One of the last conversations she had with her sister Tanisha was about her burning desire to leave Illinois and put herself in a position to do better in life. This wasn't about running away from her responsibilities. It was about running toward opportunities that could give her children the future they deserved. Shenika wanted so much more than what her circumstances had offered her, and she was determined to find it somewhere new. Being a mother to 6 children ranging in age from 4 to 14 wasn't just Shenika's responsibility. It was her greatest source of pride and purpose. She had mastered the art of making something out of nothing, always finding creative ways to stretch every dollar and ensure her kids never went without the essentials. Her sister Tanisha remembered how Shenika didn't have a lot, but she always made a way for her children. She was their provider, protector, and source of endless love, wearing a smile that convinced them everything would always be okay. One of the most beautiful glimpses into Shenika's true spirit came during a 2022 trip to Atlanta with her sister Tanisha, their first and tragically last vacation together. In that Atlanta restaurant during karaoke night, Shenika's voice filled the room as she sang Keisha Cole's slow-tempo Love, alongside her sister and other relatives, their voices harmonizing in perfect unity. Tanisha would later describe this memory as seeing her sister, being a free spirit and enjoying life in its purest form, a moment of joy that captured everything Shenika was meant to be. Shenika possessed gifts that could have taken her anywhere she wanted to go in life. She was known as an incredible cook who could transform simple ingredients into meals that brought the whole family together around their kitchen table. Her voice was so powerful and moving that she was regularly chosen to lead solos when the family attended church, filling the sanctuary with music that touched every heart present. Her younger brother Trevion captured her essence perfectly when he said, "She knew how to dance and sing. That's what she did best." Shenika's story isn't just about one woman's tragic end. It's about recognizing the beautiful, complex human being whose life was cut short by someone who should have cherished her. She was a daughter who made her family proud, a mother who sacrificed everything for her children, and a woman who never stopped believing in the possibility of true love and happiness. Her sister Tanisha said it best. She never had the opportunity to live a good life. She never made it out. She never saw better. She never experienced true love and true happiness. Jarv Toms Dixon wasn't a stranger who wandered into Shenika's life. He was 30 years old and the father of her youngest child, which made their connection far more complicated than the typical romantic relationship. This wasn't just about dating someone. This was about the man who shared parental responsibilities for one of her 6 children. When you have a child with someone, walking away becomes infinitely more difficult because you're not just ending a relationship with a partner. You're potentially disrupting your child's relationship with their father, creating a web of guilt and obligation that abusers often exploit. The arrangement between Shenika and Jarv revealed the complicated nature of their relationship. They were together as a couple, but they didn't share a home. Shenika maintained her own apartment on South Martin Luther King Drive with all 6 of her children, while Jarv came and went as he pleased. This setup might have appeared to give Shenika independence and control over her living situation, but in reality, it gave Jarv all the power. He could be present when it suited him and absent when it didn't, leaving Shenika to handle all the responsibilities alone. What makes domestic violence so devastating is how perfectly it disguises itself as love and devotion. Abusers don't announce their intentions or reveal their true nature immediately. Instead, they wrap their control in promises of protection and disguise their jealousy as proof of how much they care. They convince their victims that the violence comes from a place of passion, that their anger is evidence of deep feelings.
U.S. Marshals and Chicago police have a suspect in custody after finding a woman beaten to death inside her Southside home last week.
And WGN's Christine Flores has the latest on the investigation.
Good evening. The beloved mother leaves behind 6 children, the youngest 9 months old. Family members say it has not been an easy journey through their grieving process, but they say they are standing strong for the children.
There's so many people who love Nikwa, who want it different for her. And if you are watching this and people are watching this, let her loss be a testament so that you don't have to go through this and your family doesn't have to go through this.
Latasha Kinnard is referring to her sister, Shenika Kinnard.
She was the wild child, the spirited child. She loved to have fun and she loved her family.
According to police, the 30-year-old was fatally assaulted in Riverdale in the city's far south side. She was found unresponsive around 8:10 Friday morning inside of her home in the 13,000 block of South Martin Luther King Drive. According to the medical examiner's office, she died from multiple injuries from an assault, and her death was ruled a homicide.
Let this be a testament to domestic violence and abuse. If a man is putting his hands on you, that's not a caring and loving man. That's not a protective man. That's not an overseeing man. That's not a man who actually wants the better for you and your future and your kids at that.
Shenika leaves behind 6 children, the youngest 9 months old, the oldest 13-year-old Amari Smith.
I want people to know that my mom was very kind and that she loved all the people who supported her, and she was very grateful.
Chicago police announced 30-year-old Jarv Toms Dixon was charged with first-degree murder in this case.
This is a very hard time, and the only way that I'm getting through it is with the love of friends and family and time. And at the same time, it's like there is no amount of love or support that's going to bring her back.
The family has created a GoFundMe page to help with funeral expenses and for the care of the 6 children. You can find that link on our website, WGNTV.com. The suspect is scheduled to have his detention hearing tomorrow. Reporting in the city's far south side, Christine Flores, WGN News.
All right, and if you or somebody you know is in a domestic violence situation and needs help, you can reach out to the network, the Illinois hotline. There on your screen, the number is 877-863-6338. You can also log on to the website for help.
The fact that he calmly walked out wearing the same jacket showed a level of coldness that's difficult to comprehend. He left behind a woman who had loved him, trusted him, and given him a child. 3 hours after Jarv left the building, at approximately 8 in the morning, Shenika's 7-year-old son woke up and made his way to his mother's bedroom. What this innocent child discovered will haunt him for the rest of his life. His mother lying motionless and covered in blood, her face so severely beaten that she was unrecognizable. The little boy's screams filled the apartment as he tried desperately to wake her up, not understanding that she was already gone. This child, who should have been protected from such horror, became the one to find his murdered mother. The violence that Jarv inflicted on Shenika was so severe that prosecutors described injuries that paint a horrifying picture of her final moments. She suffered massive trauma to her face, with both eyes swollen completely shut and her lips cut from the inside, indicating the brutality of the assault she endured. These weren't the injuries of a brief altercation or a moment of lost control. They were the result of sustained, deliberate violence. The medical examiner would later rule her death a homicide due to multiple injuries from an assault that showed no mercy. Perhaps the most heartbreaking detail of all was that investigators found no signs of forced entry into Shenika's apartment. This means she willingly let her killer inside, trusting him enough to open her door in the early morning hours. She had no reason to fear the father of her youngest child, the man she had spent the evening dancing and laughing with just hours before. Shenika died not at the hands of a stranger or an intruder, but at the hands of someone she loved, someone she had welcomed into her home and her heart countless times before. 2 days after brutally ending Shenika's life, Jarv Toms Dixon made the decision to turn himself into authorities. This wasn't an act of remorse or conscience. It was likely the calculated move of someone who knew that the evidence against him was overwhelming and that his capture was inevitable. The security footage, the timeline, and his distinctive floral jacket had already painted a clear picture of his guilt. His surrender came too late to save Shenika, but it brought some measure of relief to her devastated family. During Jarv's first court appearance on Wednesday, following his surrender, prosecutors laid out the horrifying details of Shenika's final hours and the pattern of escalating violence that had led to her murder. The judge, recognizing the severity of the charges and the clear danger Jarv posed to the community, ordered him to remain in custody without the possibility of bail. This decision meant that the man who had terrorized Shenika for months would finally be held accountable for his actions behind bars. For Shenika's family, Jarv's arrest brought a complex mix of emotions: relief that he was finally in custody, but also the painful reality that justice could never bring their beloved sister and mother back. Her younger brother Trevion expressed what many family members felt when he said, "Of course it won't bring her back, but that's just another thing that puts our minds at ease." The arrest was a small step toward closure, but it couldn't fill the enormous void that Shenika's death had left in their lives. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office conducted a thorough autopsy that confirmed what everyone already knew: Shenika Kennard had been murdered. The official ruling stated that her death was a homicide caused by multiple injuries from an assault, providing the legal foundation needed to pursue murder charges against Jarv. The clinical language of the medical examiner's report could never capture the true horror of what Shenika endured, but it gave her family the official confirmation they needed for justice to move forward. The most heartbreaking aftermath of Shenika's murder was the 6 children she left behind, ranging in age from just 4 years old to 14. These innocent souls had lost not only their mother, but their sense of safety and security in the world. The youngest would grow up with no memories of the woman who had sacrificed everything for them, while the older children would carry the trauma of losing their protector and provider. Their lives were forever changed by one man's unforgivable act of violence. Shenika's death sent shockwaves through the far South Side community that had watched her grow up on South Martin Luther King Drive. Her family struggled to process the loss of someone who had been the heart of their family gatherings, the voice that led their church solos, and the sister who could make anyone laugh with her dancing. As her sister Tanisha painfully observed, Shenika never had the opportunity to live a good life and never experienced true love and true happiness. In the wake of Shenika's tragic death, her family has made it their mission to ensure that her story serves as a warning to others trapped in similar situations. Her brother Trevion delivered a powerful message that every person in an abusive relationship needs to hear. Don't be scared to speak up in a situation like this, because the end outcome will be what happened to my sister. These aren't just words of advice. They're a desperate plea from a family that has experienced the ultimate consequence of silence. Speaking up can feel impossible when you're trapped in a cycle of abuse, but it's often the first step toward survival. The shame, fear, and isolation that abusers create are designed to keep their victims silent, but breaking that silence can literally save your life. Shenika's story reveals the classic warning signs that indicate when domestic violence is escalating toward potential murder. These red flags include increasing frequency and severity of physical violence, threats involving weapons, stalking behavior after separation attempts, and threats of suicide or homicide. When an abuser begins making statements like Jarv's threat to paint the city red, this indicates a dangerous shift toward potential mass violence. Other critical warning signs include extreme jealousy and possessiveness, attempts to isolate you from family and friends, controlling your finances or access to resources, and violating restraining orders or legal boundaries. If your partner has access to firearms, the risk of death increases dramatically, making immediate safety planning essential. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, help is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The National Domestic Violence Hotline can be reached at 1-800-799-7233, providing confidential support and safety planning assistance. Local law enforcement agencies can help you obtain protective orders, though remember that these legal documents are just one tool in a comprehensive safety plan. Many communities offer emergency shelters, counseling services, legal advocacy, and financial assistance for domestic violence survivors. Don't wait for the violence to escalate. Reach out for help at the first sign of abuse, because early intervention can prevent tragedies like Shenika's. Creating a detailed safety plan is crucial for anyone in an abusive relationship, whether you're planning to leave or trying to stay safe while remaining in the situation. This plan should include identifying safe places to go during emergencies, keeping important documents and emergency money in a secure location, and establishing code words with trusted friends or family members who can call for help. Remember that leaving an abusive relationship is often the most dangerous time, so professional guidance from domestic violence advocates is essential for developing an effective escape strategy. Shenika's sister Tanisha emphasized the importance of recognizing opportunities to break free. The chance that you do have to leave, take the opportunity to do so, because one day you might never get that chance again. Domestic violence is indeed a vicious cycle that can be passed down through generations, but it can be broken with the right support and intervention. Teaching children about healthy relationships, seeking therapy to address trauma, and creating support networks are all essential steps in ensuring that the cycle of violence ends with this generation. If this story opened your eyes to the reality of domestic violence, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that could save lives. Your engagement helps us reach more people who might need this message. Shenika's death wasn't in vain if her story can prevent even one person from suffering the same fate. Together, we can break the silence that allows domestic violence to thrive in the shadows.